Good morning, everyone. We live in a world obsessed with data. Every decision, every strategy, every move we make, it's all measured, analyzed, and scrutinized. Companies invest billions in systems to track customer habits, productivity metrics, market trends. We love to say the numbers don't lie, but here's the thing, numbers also don't care. Data can tell us what's happening, but it rarely tells us why it matters. And when it comes to business success, not just profit margins, but true, lasting success, it's not data that sets the winners apart. It's values. Values define the soul of a business, data measures, but doesn't inspire. This statement holds the essence of what separates truly extraordinary businesses from the rest. In today's fast-paced, data-saturated world, it's easy to believe that numbers hold the key to success. Organizations spend countless hours collecting, analyzing, and refining data, hoping to discover the perfect formula for growth and efficiency. Data is useful, of course, critical even. It helps us understand trends, optimize performance, and pinpoint inefficiencies. But it is not, and will never be, the heartbeat of a business. It measures the outcomes of our actions, not the motivation behind them. It provides clarity, but it doesn't evoke purpose or passion. And without those deeper elements, a business cannot truly thrive. Values, on the other hand, are what breathe life into a company. They are the guiding principles that inform every decision and action, often unconsciously. When you think of a great brand or organization, what comes to mind? It's rarely their revenue, their market share, or the statistics they tout in quarterly reports. What sticks is their identity, who they are, what they stand for, and how they make you feel. That emotional resonance isn't the result of data, it's the manifestation of values. When a company operates from a clear and unwavering sense of purpose, it becomes magnetic. People are naturally drawn to authenticity, whether as customers, employees, or partners. Consider a moment when you, as a consumer, felt deeply connected to a product, a service, or even a business philosophy. Odds are that connection didn't come from an impressive pie chart or a well-crafted piece of marketing. It came from the alignment of values. It was the sense that the company understood and shared something meaningful with you, a passion for sustainability, a commitment to fairness, or an emphasis on innovation. These are not things data can quantify. They are the emotional drivers that make us trust, believe, and act. Values also serve as a company's moral compass. In times of uncertainty or crisis, when the answers aren't clear-cut, data alone is insufficient. Numbers might tell you how to minimize risk or maximize profitability, but they can't tell you what's right. When businesses prioritize their values, they have something steadfast to anchor themselves to, no matter the circumstances. A values-driven organization doesn't need to rely solely on external tools to navigate challenges. It has an internal framework to guide its decisions. This consistency builds credibility, and credibility fosters loyalty. In business, trust is the most valuable currency. What's remarkable is how often we underestimate the power of trust and how intricately it is tied to values. When customers feel a genuine alignment with a company's ethos, they are not just buying a product, they are participating in a shared vision. Similarly, when employees resonate with their company's mission and see it practiced authentically, they contribute their best not because they are told to, but because they want to. Loyalty born of shared values is enduring in a way that marketing campaigns and analytics alone cannot replicate. The reality is that data, while incredibly powerful, has limits. It looks backward to understand what happened and projects patterns forward to anticipate what might happen. But it operates in the realm of the observable, quantifiable, and logical. It misses what is intangible but critical, the essence of what motivates people at their core. Why do customers choose one brand over another even when the price is higher? Why do employees stay late, driven to solve a problem beyond their job description? These decisions don't emerge from a spreadsheet, they arise from a place of belief and alignment. A business fueled by values also takes on a different kind of resiliency. When challenges arise, as they inevitably will, it's the shared belief system that keeps a team united and motivated. Metrics may suggest cutting corners to save money, but values demand integrity and long-term thinking. And when the dust settles, it's the companies that held firm to their principles that emerge stronger, their reputation intact, their stakeholders still believing in them. We often hear businesses claim to be data-driven, and while there's merit to leveraging information wisely, it must never be at the expense of principles. The numbers can inform and support decisions, but they should never lead them. Data can't tell you who you are as a company, it can only reflect the outcomes of what you stand for. To truly inspire, to galvanize action and build trust, organizations need to lead with their values. Trust, built on shared values, outweighs any algorithmic prediction. It is the foundation of all successful relationships, personal, professional, and organizational. In business, we often try to engineer trust through data, metrics, and predictive models, believing that the better we understand patterns and behaviors, the more we can control outcomes. But trust isn't something that can be programmed or quantified. It's a human emotion, earned over time through consistency, integrity, and mutual respect. And at the core of trust lies the alignment of values. When individuals or organizations feel their values align with a company, a sense of trust naturally develops. This isn't because the company has the most advanced analytics or the flashiest algorithms, but because it stands for something meaningful and relatable. Shared values provide a sense of understanding and connection that no technology can replicate. People trust businesses not because of what they know, but because of what they believe about those businesses. A consumer can know a company's track record, pricing strategy, or efficiency, but trust is built when they believe that the company cares about what they care about, that its actions align with its promises, and that it operates with a purpose greater than profit. Trust takes time to build, yet it can be lost in an instant. Every decision a company makes has the potential to either reinforce or undermine that trust. Take, for example, the countless organizations that, during times of crisis, have faced public backlash, not because of the crisis itself, but because their actions in response betrayed their stated values. If a company preaches sustainability but is exposed for exploitative practices, the fallout isn't just reputational, it's existential. Data and algorithms might predict customer behavior, but they can't repair broken trust. Conversely, companies that consistently act in line with their values, even in difficult circumstances, deepen their reservoir of trust with stakeholders. Consider how trust impacts the relationship between a business and its employees. A workplace that prioritizes data-driven performance metrics over the well-being of its team might achieve short-term efficiency gains, but it will struggle to foster long-term loyalty or engagement. Employees want to work for organizations where they feel valued, respected, and part of something meaningful. They want to trust that leadership has their best interests in mind, not just quarterly targets. Shared values create that sense of security and purpose. When employees see their organization consistently practicing what it preaches, whether that's fairness, innovation, sustainability, or diversity, they feel a deeper connection to the work they do and the company they represent. The same principle applies to customers. In a world flooded with choices, loyalty is no longer based solely on price, convenience, or product quality. Those factors matter, but what truly keeps customers coming back is the belief that the company shares their values. This is why brands that embrace social causes, environmental responsibility, or ethical practices often outperform those that focus solely on market trends. People want to feel good about the companies they support. They want to trust that their purchase aligns with their beliefs, whether it's as small as buying a cup of fair trade coffee or as significant as investing in sustainable energy. When trust is built on shared values, customers aren't just buying products, they're buying into a relationship, a movement, a vision for the future. The irony is that many organizations pour resources into trying to manufacture trust through data. Customer profiles are created, behavior is analyzed, and algorithms predict the next move. Yet these efforts often fall short because they focus on the what of trust instead of the why. Trust cannot be reverse engineered. It cannot be conjured through personalization algorithms or predictive analytics. It emerges naturally when there is alignment, when people see that a company's actions match its words and that its priorities mirror their own. Predictive models and advanced analytics are powerful tools, but they are no substitute for the human element. Businesses that lean too heavily on data risk losing sight of the bigger picture that trust is emotional, not logical. Customers and employees may not always articulate why they feel loyal to a particular company, but they know it when they feel it. It's an unspoken connection that transcends metrics and dashboards, a confidence that the organization operates with honesty, integrity, and shared purpose. When businesses operate from this place of trust, the results often exceed anything data could predict. Customers advocate for the brand, not because of loyalty points, but because they genuinely believe in what it stands for. Employees go above and beyond, not because of performance bonuses, but because they feel invested in the mission. Investors and partners stay committed, not just because of projected returns, but because they trust the company to act in alignment with shared principles. Trust, built on shared values doesn't just amplify loyalty, it creates resilience. It's what enables companies to weather storms, recover from missteps, and continue innovating without losing their way. It ensures that in moments of doubt, stakeholders choose to believe in the organization, not because of calculated probabilities, but because of the emotional foundation that shared values have created. Trust isn't easy, nor can it be expedited, but its rewards are immeasurable. Authentic leadership begins with identifying uncompromisable values. In a world constantly shifting under the weight of trends, data, and external pressures, there's a temptation to adapt endlessly, to mold ourselves and our decisions to fit the demands of the moment. But real leadership, the kind that inspires loyalty and fuels lasting impact, doesn't start with reacting to the outside world. It starts with a deep and unwavering understanding of what we stand for. Values are the compass that guide leaders through the ambiguity and complexity of running a business, providing a sense of clarity when nothing else does. Identifying uncompromisable values requires introspection, honesty, and courage. It's not about listing buzzwords on a mission statement or parroting what seems popular. True values are deeply personal, grounded in belief systems and principles that resonate at the core. They should withstand scrutiny, challenges, and even opposition. Uncompromisable values don't shift when the circumstances do, they remain steady, offering stability to leaders, teams, and organizations navigating an ever-changing landscape. Authenticity in leadership is rooted in these values. It's about leading in a way that feels real, honest, and aligned. People gravitate toward leaders who are consistent and transparent, who demonstrate through their actions that they stand for something larger than profit or power. This authenticity creates trust, and trust is the bedrock of influence. Without trust, even the best strategies falter. But with it, leaders inspire others to give their best, work toward a shared vision, and remain resilient in times of challenge. When a leader's values are clear, decision-making becomes not only easier but also more meaningful. Every day, leaders face tough choices, some of which don't have obvious answers. In these moments, data might present several viable options, but it can't illuminate the right path. This is where values become critical. They act as a decision-making filter, allowing leaders to assess not just what will work, but what aligns with who they are and what they stand for. It's the difference between chasing short-term gains and building long-term trust and integrity. Consider how leaders influence their teams. Employees don't follow because of titles, hierarchy, or authority alone. They follow because they believe in the person leading them and feel connected to their mission. That connection is forged through shared values, which serve as a kind of silent contract between a leader and their team. Employees will give their full energy and commitment when they see that their leader is genuinely invested in principles they can respect and admire. It's about walking the talk, demonstrating through behavior that the values espoused by the leader are more than just words. Authenticity in leadership doesn't mean perfection. Leaders are human, and they will face moments of doubt, missteps, and external pressures that test their convictions. But what matters is how they navigate those moments. A leader grounded in uncompromisable values will acknowledge their mistakes, remain transparent about their challenges, and continue to align their actions with their principles. This vulnerability, paired with consistency, deepens trust because it reinforces the leader's humanity while affirming their integrity. People don't expect leaders to be flawless, they expect them to be honest. Uncompromisable values also protect against the pull of external forces that threaten to derail an organization's mission. In a fast-moving business environment, there's constant pressure to pivot in response to markets, competition, and even criticism. While adaptability is essential, it's equally critical to recognize when adaptability becomes compromise. Not every opportunity is worth pursuing, and not every challenge is worth responding to. Leaders who know their values can distinguish between what deserves their attention and what doesn't. This clarity keeps organizations focused, aligned, and resilient even in turbulent times. The process of identifying values doesn't happen overnight. It requires introspection, a willingness to ask tough questions. What truly matters? What principles will I never sacrifice, no matter the cost? What legacy do I want to leave behind? These questions strip away surface-level ambitions and reveal the foundational beliefs that drive authentic leadership. Once these values are clear, they must be communicated not just through words, but through every decision, action, and interaction. Leadership by example is far more powerful than leadership by proclamation. It's also important to recognize that authentic leadership is contagious. When leaders embrace and operate from a place of deep alignment with their values, they create a ripple effect. Teams begin to mirror that authenticity, and organizations become spaces where integrity, clarity, and purpose thrive. This alignment fosters unity and momentum because everyone understands the bigger picture and how their role contributes to it. When values serve as the common thread connecting individuals and teams, there's less room for conflict, confusion, or disengagement. Identifying and leading with uncompromisable values isn't just a moral imperative, it's a strategic advantage. In a competitive landscape, businesses and leaders that prioritize authenticity stand out because they operate from a place of intention rather than reaction. Customers, employees, and partners increasingly gravitate toward organizations with clear principles because they represent stability in an unpredictable world. Authenticity may not be flashy, but it is enduring. It's the kind of strength that attracts loyalty, earns respect, and builds reputations that withstand the test of time. Living your values creates loyalty that no metric can quantify. In business, loyalty is one of the most powerful and sought-after assets, yet it remains elusive for many organizations. Traditional methods of cultivating loyalty often rely on incentives, rewards, or promotions, all of which can be effective in the short term, but do little to establish a deeper bond. True loyalty, the kind that keeps customers coming back, inspires employees to stay through challenging times, and builds unshakable relationships with partners, comes not from what a company offers, but from what it stands for. That kind of loyalty is rooted in the values of business lives by every single day. Living your values means going beyond words. It's not enough to write them on a website or display them on the walls of an office. Values must be evident in actions, decisions, and behaviors at every level of the organization. A company might claim to care about innovation, but if it penalizes employees for taking risks, that claim rings hollow. It might say it prioritizes customers, but if its practices reveal a focus on profit at the expense of service, the inconsistency undermines trust. People notice the gap between stated values and actual behavior, and when that gap exists, loyalty erodes. Living your values means closing that gap, ensuring that your principles are not just spoken but embodied. Loyalty built on lived values is powerful because it transcends the transactional. Customers don't just buy from you because you have the lowest price or the fastest delivery. They buy because they feel a connection. That connection is emotional and deeply personal. It's the feeling that a company gets it, that it aligns with what they believe and the kind of world they want to see. Take, for example, brands that champion sustainability or social justice. Their customers aren't just purchasing products, they're investing in a cause. They see their own values reflected in the company, which makes every interaction more meaningful and lasting. The same principle applies to employees. In a competitive job market, perks and compensation packages are important, but they are rarely enough to inspire true commitment. Employees stay loyal to companies where they feel their values align and where those values are consistently demonstrated. They want to work for leaders who don't just talk about integrity but show it in their decisions. They are motivated by a sense of purpose, by knowing that their work contributes to something greater than themselves. A company that lives its values creates an environment where employees feel respected, inspired, and connected to a shared mission. This kind of loyalty fosters engagement, reduces turnover, and builds teams that are more resilient and effective. Partners and investors are also drawn to organizations that live their values. These stakeholders are not merely looking at financial performance, they are assessing the character and credibility of the business. They want to know that the company operates with integrity, treats its people fairly, and upholds its commitments. When values guide actions consistently, it signals to partners and investors that the business can be trusted, that it will stand by its principles even when challenged. This builds confidence and strengthens relationships, ensuring long-term support. Living your values also creates a ripple effect. When a company consistently demonstrates its principles, it influences everyone it interacts with. Customers who feel a deep connection to the company's values often become advocates, spreading the word to their networks. Employees who are aligned with the organization's mission often share their positive experiences with others, enhancing the company's reputation as an employer. Partners who believe in the company's integrity often bring new opportunities to the table, fostering growth and collaboration. This network of loyalty and advocacy becomes a competitive advantage that no amount of advertising or data-driven strategy can replicate. In a world where businesses are increasingly scrutinized for their ethics and social impact, living your values is more important than ever. Today's consumers and employees are empowered to research, question, and hold organizations accountable. They expect businesses to go beyond profits and demonstrate genuine care for people, communities, and the planet. Companies that fail to live their values face not only criticism but also dwindling loyalty. On the other hand, those that stay true to their principles earn respect, trust, and devotion from their stakeholders. Loyalty rooted in lived values is resilient. It doesn't waver during tough times. In fact, it often deepens when a company proves its commitment under pressure. For example, businesses that prioritize their employees' health and well-being during economic downturns earn lasting loyalty from their teams. Customers also remember how companies act in moments of crisis, whether they honor their commitments, uphold their ethics, and stay true to their promises. Living your values ensures that loyalty remains strong even when the circumstances are challenging. This kind of loyalty cannot be measured in the same way traditional business outcomes are. It doesn't appear neatly in spreadsheets or dashboards, but its impact is undeniable. It shows up in the way people talk about a company, in the trust they place in its decisions, and in the willingness of stakeholders to stick with it, even when alternatives exist. By living your values, you create relationships that are not just transactional but transformational, ensuring a foundation of loyalty that stands the test of time. A values-driven strategy inspires connection and identity, not just transactions. In the corporate world, it is all too common to approach business growth from the standpoint of immediate, measurable transactions, improving sales, increasing efficiency, maximizing profit margins. These are tangible goals, easy to track and clearly defined, but they can fall short in cultivating meaningful relationships. When businesses focus only on transactional metrics, they treat their customers as numbers, their employees as resources, and their purpose as the bottom line. While this may lead to short-term gains, it does little to create a lasting impact. What businesses fail to realize is that their success is built on far more than simply delivering goods or services. Success arises from forging deep, authentic connections with the people who invest in the brand, whether they are customers, employees, or partners, and that requires a foundation rooted in values. Values-driven strategies do more than fuel transactions. They foster bonds. People are naturally drawn to companies whose values they identify with and whose mission aligns with their own principles. Think about the companies you trust, the ones whose products or services you choose time and time again, not just because they fulfill a need, but because they stand for something you believe in. Perhaps it's a commitment to sustainability, a focus on innovation, or a strong belief in fairness and equality. Whatever it is, it resonates with you because their values mirror your own, creating an emotional connection that no transaction can replicate. When a business prioritizes values, it transcends a one-time purchase or fleeting relationship. It transforms interactions into shared experiences and customers into long-term advocates. This deeper connection is not something that can be quantified in terms of immediate metrics, and that's precisely the point. By focusing on connection, businesses prioritize the human elements that sustain lasting engagement. A values-driven approach shifts the narrative from purely financial goals to the greater impact the organization wishes to create. It's about engaging with customers and communities in a meaningful way that leaves a lasting impression. Customers don't just want a product, they want to feel a part of something bigger than themselves. When they see a company prioritizing values they support, their connection to that company becomes far more than just a financial exchange. It becomes a matter of identity. Customers become loyal because, in a sense, they believe they share the company's purpose, a cause they are passionate about. This concept applies as much to employees as it does to customers. A business that revolves solely around transactions and profits is likely to find employee morale and retention to be a challenge. Work, for most people, isn't just about performing a set of tasks or collecting a paycheck. It's about meaning. It's about knowing that the work they do contributes to something that matters. A company with a values-driven strategy inspires this sense of purpose in its employees, who in turn connect with the business more deeply. When employees feel aligned with their employer's values, they do more than just show up. They are motivated, engaged, and willing to put in the extra effort. They're invested in the business's success because they see themselves reflected in its mission. As a result, they contribute not only to meeting corporate goals but also to advancing the organization's larger vision. This also extends to the way companies work with partners and collaborators. A partnership driven by shared values holds far more potential than one built solely on economic interests. Collaborators who believe in the same guiding principles work together with greater trust, respect, and long-term vision. They are more willing to support each other in tough times, knowing that their mutual dedication to a greater purpose will ultimately lead to success. Partnerships rooted in values of staying power. They allow businesses to share a collective identity with others in the ecosystem, creating opportunities for innovation and progress that extend beyond mere transactions. A values-driven strategy also fosters a sense of accountability. When businesses know they are built on principles and act in accordance with those principles, they hold themselves to a higher standard. This alignment inspires others to do the same, leading to a culture of integrity and shared responsibility across the organization. Whether it's the way employees engage with one another or the way leaders communicate with their teams, a values-driven company carries itself with purpose and clarity. Leaders lead with a firm commitment to the values they espouse, and their actions align consistently with those values. This internal coherence creates a transparent environment where everyone understands what the company stands for and what they are contributing to. It's not just about achieving external results, it's about embodying those results from within. In essence, a business with a values-driven strategy is much more than a transactional entity. It represents a collective identity that resonates deeply with everyone it touches: employees, customers, and partners. It provides clarity about the company's mission, inspires trust, and fosters connections that transcend the typical customer-vendor dynamic. People are no longer merely interacting with a brand, they are connecting with its identity. This emotional connection strengthens loyalty, promotes long-term relationships, and ultimately creates an ecosystem in which everyone feels invested in each other's success. In a world where consumers are increasingly looking for companies that stand for something real and important, a values-driven approach is no longer a luxury, it's essential. A company's culture is a direct reflection of its values, and culture can either elevate or undermine a business's potential. Culture isn't something that exists in isolation, it's not merely a collection of policies or superficial perks designed to make employees feel good. A truly powerful culture is the result of deeply embedded values that guide how the organization operates, treats its people, and impacts the world. From the boardroom to the front line, culture shapes every interaction, every decision, and ultimately every outcome. The culture of an organization either empowers individuals to do their best work or limits their potential, and it is the result of intentional actions rooted in consistent values. The foundation of a strong culture lies in shared values. When an organization has a clear set of core beliefs and values, it creates an environment where everyone is on the same page, aligned toward a common purpose. Employees know not only what they are working for, but why they are working for it. They understand the company's mission, its principles, and how their work contributes to a larger vision. This clarity gives them a sense of direction and purpose, which drives motivation and engagement. People who feel aligned with the organization's values don't just clock in and out, they invest emotionally in their work, because they know it matters. Values aren't just abstract concepts or corporate jargon, they are the guiding principles behind every decision, from hiring to performance reviews to how the company interacts with its customers. A company that values innovation, for example, will prioritize hiring individuals who think creatively and push boundaries, and it will encourage an environment where experimentation and risk-taking are supported, not punished. On the other hand, a company that values integrity will invest in policies that promote transparency and fairness at every level of the business, from how resources are allocated to how conflicts are resolved. This alignment between culture and values also fosters trust, both internally and externally. Employees trust that the company will prioritize their well-being, development, and success because the culture is built on those values. They trust their leaders to make decisions that reflect those same principles and are not swayed by external pressures or shortcuts that compromise the integrity of the business. Trust becomes a fundamental part of the day-to-day dynamics within the organization, creating a positive feedback loop. When trust is established, communication flows more freely, collaboration strengthens, and productivity increases. Externally, trust built through a company's culture is just as vital. A business that operates with transparency and accountability in its culture sends a message to its customers, partners, and stakeholders that they can depend on it. Customers may not always know the intricacies of an organization's internal culture, but they feel the effects in how they are treated and in the quality and consistency of the products or services they receive. If a company's culture upholds values of respect, honesty, and customer-centeredness, customers are more likely to return, recommend the business, and engage in long-term relationships. In contrast, a misalignment between values and culture can have detrimental consequences. When values are simply lip service or fail to influence actual behaviors within the company, the culture deteriorates. Employees become disengaged, turnover increases, and performance suffers. Even worse, the disconnect between what a company says it values and what it actually does can erode the trust that customers and stakeholders have in the organization. For example, if a company promotes inclusivity and diversity but consistently hires homogeneously and fails to address issues of discrimination or bias, its culture fails to live up to its stated values. This creates internal friction, low morale, and public skepticism, all of which can significantly damage the brand. Furthermore, businesses with a strong culture built on their core values become magnets for talent. People want to work for organizations whose values they resonate with. In today's workforce, individuals are looking for more than just a paycheck. They are searching for purpose. They want to know that the work they are doing contributes to something they can believe in, and that the company they work for upholds the principles they stand for. A company with a healthy, values-driven culture is able to attract top-tier talent and retain employees who are deeply invested in the organization's success. A company's culture shapes its ability to innovate and adapt. In a rapidly changing business environment, it is culture that provides the resilience necessary to face disruption. A strong culture doesn't resist change, it embraces it, because the people within the organization share the values that enable them to navigate uncertainty together. When people are motivated and connected through a shared sense of purpose, they are more agile, more willing to collaborate, and more capable of finding creative solutions to the challenges they encounter. An organization's culture is not something that can be left to chance. It must be nurtured and intentionally shaped through the consistent application of values. These values provide the foundation for a culture that drives engagement, fosters trust, and enables both employees and the organization to achieve their fullest potential. Businesses that recognize the power of a values-driven culture stand to build more than just a successful organization. They create environments where people thrive, relationships flourish, and sustained impact is made. So let's put the spreadsheets down for a moment and ask ourselves the real questions. Who are we? What do we stand for? What kind of future are we building, not just for ourselves, but for others? The world doesn't need more businesses chasing numbers. It needs more businesses leading with values. And that's where the real magic happens. Thank you. Well,